Imagine you're sitting at your desk, you open this highly stressful email from your boss, or maybe like a massive unexpected bill.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right. And your heart rate instantly spikes. But then suddenly, without you touching a single button, the audio playing in your room drops to a slow, like 60 beats per minute.
Just automatically.
Automatically. The frequencies shift, the harmonic texture softens, and within minutes, your heart rate actually slows down to match the audio.
And you haven't, taken a pill or paused to meditate or anything.
Exactly. Your room just hacked your nervous system to calm you down. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are embarking on a mission for you, the listener, that is, well, it's highly personal and incredibly practical.
Yeah, we're looking at a really fascinating stack of notes today from two bleeding-edge projects. One is called the Biome soundtrack, and the other is Odd AI.
Right, and we're going to use these notes to help brainstorm and completely redesign new soundscape ecosystems for your own daily routines. Because the core question here is, what if music stopped being something you just listen to as a performance and instead became a living, breathing habitat that you live inside?
Yeah, because the foundational concept driving both of these projects is this transition toward environmental audio infrastructure.
Okay.
So instead of putting together, isolated tracks on a Spotify playlist, we have to start looking at music as a continuous functional environment.
A functional environment.
Right. It's sound engineered specifically to regulate your nervous system, prevent listener fatigue, and fundamentally alter your daily life.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because to build these new daily soundscapes for you, we first have to understand how the very definition of what a track even is changing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because when I think of music, I think of a static object. A band records a 3-minute song, they release it, and it sounds exactly the same every single time I hit play.
Yeah, but to understand where the Odd AI developers are taking this, you really have to look at the historical trajectory of the medium itself. I mean, we started with sheet music, right, which was basically just an instruction manual. Sure. Then we moved to static recordings on vinyl or tape, which is like capturing a single performance in Amber. Then the internet arrived, and we moved to digital streams. And now
we have the AI stuff.
Exactly. Now we are entering the era of generative systems. The underlying pattern here is that music is shifting from a static object to an evolving process.
But when most people hear generative systems or AI music, they just think of like a computer trying to write a catchy generic pop song, like a robot trying to be Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and that is the exact trap of how standard AI is used today. Usually AI acts as like a rear-view mirror.
A rear-view mirror.
Right. It looks at a massive data set of past hits and just predicts the most statistically likely next note. The developers behind the Biome soundtrack use this really great analogy. They say if you used a purely pattern-driven AI in 1908, it would have recommended optimizing horseshoes.
Oh, right. Or like inventing a sleeker wooden carriage.
Exactly. It would not have invented the Ford Model T. It just optimizes inside the existing frame.
Right. It's bound by the gravity of whatever has already been done.
But true innovation happens when developers use the AI as a kaleidoscope instead of a rearview mirror.
A kaleidoscope?
Yeah, it explores variations and combines, like distant styles at industrial speeds, surfacing odd combinations that a human brain might just overlook.
Oh, wow.
And the human still completely sets the compass, right? We decide what problem to solve and what musical rules to break, but the machine helps survey the terrain. We aren't using AI to guess the next note of a pop song. We're using it to design the rules of an entirely new instrument.
So if I'm picturing this for my own life, traditional playlists are like looking at a beautiful but completely static photograph. It never changes.
Right.
But what we are talking about today is planting a sonic botanical garden that literally changes depending on the weather, the time of day, and who is standing in it.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's music that evolves while you listen. It is fundamentally alive.
But wait, if we are abandoning traditional songs and artists and genres entirely, how do you even categorize what you are listening to? Because if I open up my phone right now, I look for rock or jazz or lo-fi hip-hop.
Yeah.
If I'm building a sonic garden, what am I actually searching for?
So the researchers call this phenomenon genre dissolution.
Genre dissolution, right?
Genres are becoming less like strict boxes and more fluid color palettes. So instead of genres, we are moving toward mood systems.
Okay, mood systems.
The genre label fades away, and the functional and emotional purpose becomes the compass. You won't select rock or jazz. You will select functional emotion design categorized by states of being, like focus, ritual, drive, sleep, or ceremony.
That is just wild to think about. But let's bring this right down to the practical level for the listener. Let's actually apply this and design the first half of your day, starting with waking up and dealing with the morning commute.
Okay, so the Biome soundtrack outlines something called the Adaptive Ritual Series.
Adaptive Ritual Series.
Yeah, these are soundscapes specifically designed as state change engines for life thresholds. So for your morning routine, they built a blueprint called Habitat 1, the first light, or the forest morning.
Forest morning. I mean, I love the sound of that already, but how does it actually wake me up without just blasting an alarm clock?
Well, it relies on engineered oral transparency.
Which means what, exactly?
The objective is to move completely away from performance. There are no catchy beats, no vocals, no hooks, fighting for your brain's foreground attention. These tracks are meticulously designed to sit just below your active listening threshold. They occupy the frequency ranges of natural environments, like wind or distant resonance.
Okay, but what is the actual progression? Like if I get in my car at 7 a.m., what am I actually hearing?
The sequence moves biologically. It starts with a phase called rising mist, which utilizes expansive, airy, granular synthesis to mimic pre-dawn stillness.
Hold on, granular synthesis. What does that actually mean for the listener's ear?
Right. Think of it like taking a solid block of audio, maybe like a recording of a cello, and shattering it into thousands of microscopic grains of sound.
Oh, wow.
And then playing those grains back like a flurry of snow. It creates this shimmering, cold, wide-open texture. It signals to your brain that the space is vast and quiet.
Okay, so I'm in the mist, but I need to eventually wake up and be productive.
That's when it introduces the Moss pulse. This is a subtle, organic, 90 beat per minute heartbeat woven into the texture.
Why 90 beats per minute specifically?
Because it mimics the rhythm of an elevated resting heart rate, or, cellular respiration as the body warms up.
Oh, I see.
Your brain naturally seeks out rhythmic patterns and entrains to them. So by introducing a 90 BPM pulse, your own heart rate will subtly begin to align with it, biologically elevating your energy.
That makes a lot of sense.
And finally, it ends with a phase called ground warmth, which brings in deep, stable, low-mid frequencies. It functions as a steady state to gently ground your nervous system and prepare you for the office.
So you've arrived at work, you're at your desk, or maybe you're a remote worker sitting in a bustling coffee shop with espresso machines screaming in the background.
Well, the classic remote setup.
Exactly. And you need to transition into a deep flow state.
For that, we move into Habitat 2, the shared mind. This is designed as a cognitive lubricant for a workspace, and the infrastructure relies heavily on an anti-distraction layer.
An anti-distraction layer. That sounds a bit like noise cancellation, but how does an audio track actually do that?
Well, it uses a very specific density of mid-range frequencies. Human voices, distant chatter, the clacking of keyboards, the hum of the HVAC system.
And the annoying stuff.
Exactly. Most of those chaotic, focus-shattering noises live in the exact same mid-range frequency band, roughly between 1,000 and 4,000 hertz.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the shared mind generates a continuous, soothing texture that fills that exact bandwidth, effectively masking the erratic noise. But crucially, it keeps the high-end frequencies open and airy, so you don't feel claustrophobic or trapped in a sonic box.
Okay, I have to push back here for a second, though. If there are no sharp transients, no sudden melodies, and its primary job is just masking background noise in the mid-range, I mean, won't this just put a remote worker straight to sleep at their desk?
That is a fair question.
If it's just a drone, I'm going to need a lot more caffeine to stare at spreadsheets.
And that is the exact trap a lot of amateur ambient music falls into. It just becomes a static drone, and your brain zones out and gets tired. But the Biome blueprint solves this by employing a concept called active stillness.
Active stillness? That sounds a bit like a PR buzzword. How does stillness keep me awake?
I know, it sounds contradictory. Think of it less like a static drone and more like watching a river flow.
Okay.
The river is a constant calming presence, but the water is never exactly the same. It is constantly churning and moving forward.
Right.
The textures in the shared mind possess a subtle, continuous forward momentum. It uses tonal shifts, which are gradual, slow-moving harmonic evolutions that take maybe 5 minutes to resolve.
Oh, so it's always shifting slightly.
Exactly. Your brain is constantly processing tiny new pieces of audio information. It's just enough engagement to keep your mind active and alert,
Right.
but not enough to distract you from your screen. It basically turns your physical space into a thinking habitat.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. The microprogressions keep the brain feeding on something.
Yes.
But the problem with this intense active stillness focus at work is that it leaves the nervous system completely wired by 6 p.m. How does this system actively bring you down from that high when the sun goes down?
This brings us to Habitat B Night Watch. This is the sonic architecture designed for the absolute quietest part of your cycle, easing you into deep sleep.
Okay.
The designers describe the aesthetic here as obsidian ambient or glacial industrial.
Glacial industrial. That paints quite a picture. Sounds kind of heavy.
It's meant to feel cold, vast, and protective. The progression is deeply intentional to shut down the brain's vigilance. It starts with the perimeter check, which is a cycling, low-frequency pulse that feels almost like a slow radar sweep.
Oh, so it's basically scanning the horizon so your lizard brain feels safe enough to stop scanning it.
Exactly. It delegates the job of staying alert to the environment.
That's brilliant.
Then it moves into starlight static, using those high-end granular textures we talked about earlier to create a sense of massive distance. And finally, it settles into 0 hour. This is for the deepest point of sleep. It relies almost entirely on minimalist, sub-bass movements.
Why sub-days? Just because it's quiet.
It goes deeper than that, actually. Sub-bass frequencies, the extremely low rumbles that you feel in your chest more than you hear with your ears, they actually mimic the acoustic environment of the womb.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it is a biological cheat code. When the mammalian brain registers that slow, deep, muffled resonance, it triggers profound safety signals. It's for that hour of the night where time feels like it literally stops.
Wow, that is so much more sophisticated than just telling Alexa to play a generic rain sounds playlist.
Oh, absolutely.
But let's talk about the personal, emotional side of this, because the notes also detail how you can customize these spaces. They mention something called the Emotional Mapping Project.
Right, this is a fascinating application of generative systems. Instead of just curating a Spotify playlist of your favorite sad or happy songs, the Emotional Mapping Project allows you to build a library of tracks that represent precise, complex emotional coordinates.
So instead of generic moods, we are talking about highly specific human states.
Exactly. You build sonic architecture for anticipation, for grief, for courage, for awe. It becomes an emotional atlas.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. This is like keeping a deeply personal journal or diary, but instead of words, it's written in custom sonic architecture.
A living diary of your internal state.
Exactly. But I have a practical question. If I build a _ኸᗕᗕ track and I want to listen to it every single morning before I pitch clients, when I get sick of it, I mean, even my absolute favorite song in the world gets annoying if I play it every day for a month.
And that is the exact problem that procedural rules solve. The solution is the living album concept. When you curate your living diary, you don't select a finished static track. You select one musical seed.
A seed, like a core piece of DNA.
Yes. Maybe it's a simple 4-note piano motif or a specific rhythmic texture. You feed that seed into the system, and the procedural rules generate infinite subtle variations of that exact same DNA.
Oh, I see.
The procedural generation can change based on external factors. So if it's raining outside, the piano might sound muffled and distant. If it's a bright morning, the tempo might subtly increase and the high frequencies get sharper.
Wow.
Or it adapts to your current emotional state. The core 4-note motif remains constant, so it feels deeply familiar and anchors you. But the surrounding atmosphere transforms every single time you hit play. You experience evolution, not repetition.
It's like looking at the exact same mountain out of your window every day. You're looking at it in the morning light, then during a thunderstorm, then under the moonlight. It's the same mountain, but the experience of it is completely different.
That's a phenomenal way to put it.
So far, we've talked about procedural soundscapes that change based on the time of day or these external rules like the weather. But the true quantum leap in redesigning your daily routine is what happens when the music actually starts listening to you.
Now we are entering the territory of the near future, which the researchers at AI are building the foundation for right now. This is the era of biofeedback music. This is where music becomes fully adaptive and responsive to the listener in real time.
What exactly is it responding to?
Your actual biology.
Really?
Yeah, the inputs are your real-time physiological data pulled straight from your smartwatch or wearable health monitor. We are talking about your heart rate, your breathing patterns, your skin conductance to measure stress levels, and even your physical motion.
Okay, so the music knows my heart rate. What does it do with that information?
The outputs adjust instantly to regulate you. Let's go back to that stressful email example from the beginning of our discussion.
Right, the heart rate spike.
You're working, the email comes in, your heart rate spikes to 110 beats per minute, and your breathing gets shallow. The biofeedback system detects this immediately.
Okay.
In real time, the music's tempo subtly shifts. The harmonic modulation alters. The density of the texture softens. The environment actively works to bring your physiological state back to a healthy baseline.
I have to be honest. If I am fighting fires at work and I'm genuinely angry or stressed, and my room suddenly starts playing slow, calming spa music, I am going to throw my laptop out the window.
Oh, absolutely.
It would feel so condescending, like, stop trying to calm me down, I have a crisis to manage.
And that is exactly why it isn't spa music, and why it doesn't instantly drop to a slow tempo.
Yeah.
The odd AI system relies on a principle called entrainment.
Entrainment.
Yes. If you are stressed and your heart rate is at 110 BPM, the music will actually speed up to match you at a 110 BPM. It meets you where you are emotionally.
Oh.
It validates your physical state. But then, over the course of 10 or 15 minutes, the tempo will subtly, imperceptibly drag.
Icky.
Very. It will pull down to 105, then 100, then 90. Because human biology naturally wants to synchronize with external rhythms, your heart rate will unconsciously follow the music down. It turns listening into a closed loop.
That is incredibly clever. It paces and leads your biology.
And what's profound about this is that it's actually a return to the very ancient roots of music.
How do you mean?
Well, before music was a commodity you bought on a record or a concert you attended for entertainment, it was utilized across ancient human cultures as a form of medicine, a ritual, and a physiological regulation. We are using the most cutting-edge artificial intelligence to return music to its original, ancient, functional purpose.
It completely changes the relationship between the listener and the sound. You aren't consuming it, you are collaborating with it just by breathing in the room.
Exactly. It allows for what the ADI developers call sonic prescription.
Oh, nanoprescription.
Yeah, you don't just put on a playlist, you engage a biological protocol. You activate a focus protocol for deep work, a grief protocol for emotional processing, or a recovery protocol after an intense physical workout. Your living space literally becomes a responsive, sentient venue that engineers your internal experience.
This has been an incredible journey. We started by throwing out the idea of static playlists, and we've explored these dynamic procedural ecosystems. We've brainstormed how to design a morning commute that mimics the biological waking of a forest using granular synthesis. We mapped out a workspace that uses mid-range masking and active stillness to create a flow state. And we explored a deep sleep habitat that uses sub-bass rooms to tell your lizard brain it's safe to rest. We are basically moving from a world of passive consumption into a world of active cohabitation with our soundscapes.
And this transition demands a new vocabulary. The researchers suggest we need a new name for this phase of civilization. It isn't just AI music. It's best described as the symbiotic arts, or the living music movement.
The symbiotic arts.
Yeah, it is a shared evolutionary path where human creativity, artificial intelligence, and human biology co-design our environments. We are moving from making music to engineering human experience.
So as you go about your day today and you put on your headphones or turn on your speakers, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. The research hints at an even more distant future, a horizon where music becomes a literal governance and coordination system for civilization. Imagine massive cities using responsive citywide sound environments to regulate traffic flow, manage the public health of pedestrians, and foster social cohesion on a massive scale. So when music is no longer just a song you play in your headphones, but a living infrastructure that responds to the actual heartbeat of a populace, what kind of society can that music sustain?